My iPhone 6s has lasted really well since I got it in early 2016. It was running iOS 9 at the time, and it's still capable of running the latest version, iOS 15, which is really impressive for a 6-year-old phone. But there are a number of missing features compared to newer models because of limitations with the older hardware. Apple have made a lot of improvements since the 6s was released, but there just wasn't good enough reason for me personally to justify an upgrade when my 6s was doing most things I wanted it to do. Lately though, a few signs of the aging technology have really started to show, like some websites crashing or just being slow to load, and delays between pressing the shutter and photos actually being captured. I'd already replaced the original battery once and it needed doing again, but I decided instead to finally upgrade. I love taking pictures with my iPhone, so I knew that I wanted to get the best camera possible. This usually meant looking at the larger Max models, so I was really pleased to see that the iPhone 13 Pro and the Pro Max shared exactly the same camera specs. I knew I was going to enjoy the 3 different lenses after being so used to the one fixed lens on the 6s. It didn't occur to me that there would be any downsides to the upgrade, so I was really surprised after just a couple of days to already miss a few things from the 6s. I knew the iPhone 13 Pro was going to be heavier, I just didn't realise until after a couple of days of using it how much I took the lightness of the 6s for granted. At just 143 grams I could put it into my pocket and pretty much forget it was there. I could hold the 6s for long periods of time without ever feeling uncomfortable. Not so much with the iPhone 13 Pro. At 204 grams it's over 40% heavier than the 6s. I know I could have gone with the lighter regular iPhone 13 at 174 grams, or even the 13 mini, which is a fraction lighter than the 6s at 141 grams, but I knew I'd regret not having the higher camera specs from the Pro model. I'm sure it won't bother me once I'm used to it, but it has just highlighted how much I enjoyed the way the 6s never felt uncomfortable to me. The bigger screen quickly becomes normal, and looking back at the 6s, it's funny to think that I never considered how small that seemed. The downside of that is that occasionally I'm having to stretch my hand to reach the top of the screen. Very occasionally I would have that problem even with the 6s, but I got used to the easy double tap on the home button to pull the screen down. Although this feature still exists in newer iPhones without a home button, I'm not finding the swipe down from the bottom of the screen quite as straightforward, as sometimes I end up pressing something else on the screen and it takes me a few tries to get it to work. I'm guessing I'll get used to this the more I use it. For the most part, I'm really enjoying Face ID. It's fast, accurate, and there's something quite satisfying about feeling that subtle haptic feedback bump, seeing the little animation with the tick as if you've done something worthy by showing your face. But there have been a few occasions when I've missed Touch ID. Initially, when wearing a mask, because of a bug in the first release of iOS 15, I wasn't able to unlock my phone using my Apple Watch, though fortunately this has now been fixed with iOS 15.0.1 and it works well. Something this doesn't cover though is third-party apps, so if I want to use Face ID to unlock WhatsApp for example, this still won't work when I'm wearing a mask even with my Apple Watch. I'm not sure if this is something Apple will address in an update, but it is slightly annoying. With the slightly smaller notch in this year's iPhone, I think a lot of people hoped Apple would again display the battery percentage. Unfortunately, this hasn't been the case so far, so we're still having to drag down to see the exact figure. It's a small issue, but again just highlights something that I preferred on the 6s. Despite these few issues, the long list of hardware features, along with iOS 15, makes me really glad to have finally upgraded. The camera is amazing, the battery life is impressive, and the ProMotion display makes everything feel really smooth. Thanks for watching.